In WEC, church planting means a focus on unreached peoples. It means sharing our faith with those people, unreached peoples. It means walking alongside those who become interested in following Jesus. It then means gathering people into communities of God's people that will multiply and reproduce so that those unreached peoples become people with Jesus who are now reached. The first thing that we do in church planting is sharing our faith with people, using often just simple stories. The people themselves have all kinds of questions and issues that they're dealing with. Those questions and issues are probably going to be different to our own. So we try and find out what are their questions, what are their felt needs, and select Bible stories that speak to those felt needs and issues. There are a lot of people out there, and that's why we go about it in a very broad way. We do abundant gospel sowing to lots and lots of people. I believe that the only way to find the people God's working among is to actually share the gospel widely. So just like in the parable of the sower, where seed has to be sown, people actually have to hear a message in order to hear and understand it. That's the way we find the people God's working in. You know, in the end, the kind of people who can best do abundant gospel sowing are simply people who are willing to get out there and meet people, share their faith, put things in letterboxes. It can be really simple. The other thing that's important is that people are willing to learn and grow. As they encounter people from other cultures, they'll make mistakes. And there is a learning process, a growing process in becoming a more effective sharer of one's faith. The next step after someone becomes interested in following Jesus, or even starts to follow Jesus, is to walk alongside them and to model to them what it is to live for Jesus, live with Jesus. And that will mean also some mentoring of them in how to live for Jesus, using the Bible stories, but also dealing with the issues that are coming up in their lives. The kind of people that are needed to walk alongside others are people who are willing to invest time, people who know their Bibles, who know Jesus themselves. I guess who above all have a desire that other people grow in their relationship with the Lord. Discipleship's important because we want people not just to have crossed the line, as it were, and to know Jesus. We want people who actually can represent Jesus to others. We want to see as many people as possible come to faith. Now, getting to know Jesus, or rather becoming like Jesus, is a process. And that process needs the help often of a discipler or a mentor. One recent example that comes to mind is a guy that I've spent and others have spent time discipling. He, in the last few months, has said that this getting into the Bible himself and being discipled has meant a change in the way he reacts to people and to situations, a really positive change. Along with sharing the stories of faith and walking with people is a very important part of church planting, and that's helping the gathering of people together, the gathering of these new communities of God's people. And that's an intentional process. It means actually helping people to get together and encourage one another, support one another. What we're really looking for are groups of believers who are using their own languages, who are embedded in their own cultures. When people come into the group, they don't say, oh, this smells or looks foreign. It feels at home. The gospel is being enfleshed in that local culture. As these new communities of faith come into being, it is not our intention to be the pastor or pastors of them. In order for the whole group of people to be reached, there need to be churches that plant churches that plant churches, reproducing, multiplying churches. We want to see local people leading those churches from the very beginning, and our role is discipling and mentoring those leaders as they emerge. To be unreached means to not have access to the gospel. And that's really WEC's focus. There are many good ministries that are helping to advance God's kingdom in various ways. WEC's focus is the unreached peoples, those without access, with no opportunity to hear about Jesus currently. And that's about 1/3 of the world. 1.7 billion people are still without any access to the gospel. It means that these people have never met a Christian in their lives. It means they do not know where to find a Bible, or there truly are no Bibles within kind of reach of them. No Christian bookshops, no local Christian radio stations, no real way of hearing about Jesus. What's it going to take to actually reach people from unreached people groups across cultural boundaries? It's going to mean that we're going to have to adjust. We're going to have to learn their ways. They'll dress differently, they eat differently, they think differently, so that we can present the gospel in an attractive way, in a way that's meaningful, in a way that's relevant. When churches take off and multiply rapidly, it's always local believers who are both leading that and involved in it. Foreigners will be in the background. But until that starts, there is an essential role for people, Christians from other cultures, coming in, crossing the cultural boundary, and for the first time exposing people to who Jesus is.